Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to review The Crow. Now there's so much I want to say about this movie. First of all, let's start off with what we know. Have the physical copy here, it is in 4K. As far as my knowledge, it's the first time in 4K. And of course it's the 30th anniversary edition given when the movie did come out. So if you don't know anything about The Crow, this is a revenge story. It is an action movie. And there are a lot of great acting moments in this movie between multiple members of the cast. So, a little backstory, if you didn't already know this, is Brandon Lee, the Crow, he actually passed during filming for this movie. It was towards the end of filming. A weapon that was not supposed to be loaded he was shot, and he passed at the hospital. So it just goes to show how tragic these things are. It shows just sort of the vulnerability there is even with action movies, with whether you have stuntmen or their safety checks or whatever the process is that should have prevented a loaded weapon from being fired on set. Clearly those things did not happen, and it ultimately led to Brandon Lee's passing, which is not only unfortunate for him, for his family, but on the movie industry as a whole, given that after watching this movie, he would have been one of, I believe, the biggest stars in movies today. So we have this movie here that he starred in. Is not his only work. It is one of his, I would say, his most famous work, and rightfully so, because he deserves recognition for his performance in this movie. Now, I wanted to do a little bit more research before simply just watching it, and I actually watched other people review this movie, and I learned two things that I probably should have known that I didn't before. Is one, this movie is actually based off of a comic series, which I would have never guessed. Knowing that in hindsight, I can see the comic elements in the movie, but I did not know that going into it. And then the other thing is, I didn't know this movie had sequels, so I don't really know if I want to check them out. Obviously, it's not going to have Brandon Lee featured in them. I don't hear great things about it, and I know there's at least one remake that I know of that's coming out. I believe it did come out this week, and I'm just honestly not hearing great things about this one either. So this may be the only one I see. I might check out the one that did come out this year, but I don't know if I have the interest in sequels to something so original and iconic like this one. So when you dive into the movie, The Crow, he is wronged. He has his wife is brutally murdered, and he dies too, but he comes back. And that's the whole sort of plot device for this movie, is they don't really go into the science or the origin of how he comes back. It's just some supernatural thing. That's sort of just the element in this movie. The supernatural darkness reborn. It sort of blends with the themes and the tone and the lighting. Everything about this movie is just dark, literally and figuratively, and it sort of just encompasses the whole tone. I'm losing my words here. I really love this movie. So not only is it just dark, like I said, figuratively and literally, but it's the brutality of it too. For its time, it's not intensely graphic, but what happens is extremely brutal. And, because it was, the 90s and an early comic book movie, you sort of forgive the small details. I know it's not going to, hold up as far as the CGI is concerned. There are some shots that just look like 90s CGI shots, but it's the story and the acting that I think is what holds up even today with this original film. And so you have sort of a smaller handful of characters. This movie has plenty of extras to fill the city, but there's really a handful of named characters. You have this little girl that watched her friends die. You have Eric Draven and his girlfriend. And then you have the police, and then you have the villains. So that's really about it. So you don't have a lot of characters at all. And I think that sort of works for this sort of a movie, because you get sort of a narrow focus with your characters being so character driven in this kind of a movie. And so, as I said, he comes back from the dead, and he gets to right the wrongs that happened to him and to his girlfriend. And this is where the action takes place, because it's not some constant battle the entire movie, but there is plenty of action with his character. And it's just, he doesn't give you Joker vibes with how the character is. It's sort of the way he speaks, sort of some of his mannerisms. It almost seemed like he could have been in the running to play the Joker really, really well had he been given the opportunity. And so that just goes to show, I think, how well his performance really is. And so when you get to the details of the other characters, there's not a lot of characters that have a huge standout as much as him. But, you know, some of the police characters, they sort of give this calmer, sort of warmer side to this intense, dark movie. But the villains, they're just sort of maniacs. And I've seen some people have said they're a little too goofy. Some people are saying, you know, they're not dark enough. I think they're supposed to be maniacs. I don't think they're really supposed to have or supposed to be level-headed. So I think with what they are, especially with Eric Draven's way of getting revenge, is sort of this, you know, this chaotic way of killing them, I think it sort of blends together with your good guy and bad guys in this movie. I think the way the kills are handled, I think the dark tone sort of plays out the setting perfectly. So I don't think that would have or needed to have been changed at all, because I like it the way it is. Everyone has their opinion. I like it the way it is, and I thought the villains were done pretty well. Now, of course, when it comes to our closing, we do get this nice closure for the character and for the movie. I have not done enough research to know exactly which scenes were done after Brandon Lee's passing. I know there's some scenes patched up where there was a stand-in, so I couldn't tell you exactly which scenes there are, but it was done to certain scenes in the movie. There are a couple moments noticeable, but hardly at all if you didn't know it going into it. I don't know if it's something you would notice. Just knowing that he's passed, it is something you sort of consciously know about. Like I said, I don't think I would have noticed if I didn't know that. So overall, this movie was pretty much one of the most solid action movies I've seen in a while. And, you know, you can't really say that about a lot of, you know, action comic book movies, especially for the 90s. Now, I know there are some good ones, but comic book movies as a whole, especially before the start with, especially with Iron Man launching its general popularity, I think that there wasn't a high budget for plenty of movies like that. So the fact that this movie was able to be filmed and shot in the way it was to look good enough to hold up even today, I think is a testament to the director, to the cast, and to just overall the work that was put into this movie to make it what it is today. Whether you're looking for it on Blu-ray or 4K, either way, you're going to see the great action, whether it's in 4K or not. So this is a movie that you can enjoy regardless. It's a movie you can watch with your friends. It's just one of those things where it just sort of gets you hyped, gets you amped watching this kind of a revenge action story. And I think the way it was done is just meant to be exciting. Some movies where it's a revenge story, it becomes more of a drama. This one was just fun. It was just action-packed, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat waiting for what's going on next. And I like that. It kept my interest the whole time. And some of these action movies sort of have a lot of dramatic, overly dramatized filler that stretches way too long. This is not the case with this movie. I loved how, you know, I just love everything that made this movie what it is. I wouldn't change it. I don't know why we're getting a remake of it. I might check it out just to sort of give a review on here. I don't have a lot of hopes for it, but I may check it out. Irregardless, if you've seen some of the others, let me know. Is it a complete waste of time? I'm hearing that they are, but you never know. So overall, thanks for sticking with me for this review. If you've not seen it before, I definitely recommend checking this out. I highly recommend making sure this movie is one of those that you've seen, especially if you love movies. I think if you're a movie fan, generally speaking, then this is when you're going to enjoy, period. So again, thanks for sticking with me, and I'll see you guys next time.